Welcome, good people. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. We hadn't done a boxing video in a while. So let's actually speak on the fights. Because you guys have been asking me a long time, man. When we going to talk about boxing, Sino? I want to talk about boxing. Boxing is what got us through the door, baby. Boxing. He said, you're not watching Undisputed. I got Undisputed right there. There's the goat mask. Look at Shatter. I had a great weekend. Don't do this to me today. Skip in trouble. Now, anyway, let's talk boxing, ladies and gentlemen. The art form. People wonder why Sino don't talk about boxing no more. They was Sino. Why you don't talk boxing anymore, man? I love when you talk boxing. You're not doing that no more. Why? Why, Sino? And it's a reason why. It's not that I don't love the sport anymore. I will always love boxing, and boxing is in my heart. I don't talk boxing anymore because there's really nothing else more to say. I'm really disinterested in a lot of the nonsense outside of it. And when you become disinterested, you know, it's what can I say? It's something that you just like. The pandemic came in, but before the pandemic, I just really wasn't interested. You know, it was like so much BS that was going on in boxing that it takes you out of it, and you just like pissed off by it. So boxing will always be in my heart, but until they actually make the fights, you know, I'm just like, I don't feel like talking about a fight that just ain't happening. You know, it's like you get tired of it and you start seeing the BS and politics of everything, and then you just don't want a part of it no more. You know? So that's where we are. Good people. I can't hit the button. I'm sorry. I didn't know the Lakers were playing Denver. Now, let's get to it. Canelo Alvarez. Saul Canelo Alvarez is suing. Canelo is suing DAZN and Golden Boy Promotions. Why? Because you can't sue DAZN without going through your promoter, Golden Boy Promotions, because that's who did the deal for you. So you, as the individual, can't just go out and sue DAZN. You got to sue Golden Boy Promotions as well. Even though Golden Boy Promotions is in concert with what's going on. And I know a lot of you might say, what's happening here? I'll speak on Gary Russell and Haney. We're going to do all that for you guys because I wanted to do one live stream for boxing for you guys because you guys been asking for it. And I said, when I get some time, I'll do it for y'all. Because y'all were my day ones. We started with the boxing. Let's do that. Okay? I'm disinterested. Boxing has not been interesting because of the BS that's been going on. So I've been just sick of it, you know, and people got to kiss butt now. And I'm like, kiss butt to this bum? No way. So they make it uncomfortable for you to want to come around and even talk about it right now. You know, what's up, Kev? I see you, Kevin Finley, in the house. Coco the Don. So anyway, the way the contract is structured, Canelo would have to fight. They wanted 3 fights with him. Caleb Smith, which is a great opponent for him. He's a champion at 168, right along with Billy Joe Saunders. You got him there. And then you got Triple G, the fight that the DAZN really wanted to make in the first place. The reason why they signed Triple G to an astronomical waste of money contract. So this is why Dervinchenko was robbed after he beat Triple G. Now, in this verbiage, Canelo's guarantee when he signed that record-breaking deal, here was the problem with that record-breaking deal. That deal, when it was signed, was supposed to be a contracted deal in which Canelo Alvarez gets a guarantee of $35 million per fight. It doesn't say anything about a premier fight or a fight that isn't a premier. Now, the rest of the verbiage of that contract, we would have to read the fine print in order to get, and we don't have a copy of it. But what the DAZN is trying to single out is that type of pay is only guaranteed for a premium fight. Now, if that's in the contract and in the verbiage, then that's what it is. Because they're saying that Billy Joe Saunders is not what they consider a premier opponent. Now, what they want is the Triple G fight to go first. And then Canelo gets that $35 million guaranteed, you know, that he's supposed to be getting for the guarantee. Now, if they want to do that, then fine, do it. Whatever 3 you want to do, those are the 3 fights for Canelo. Set it up. Let's get it on. Now, for this weekend, they could have had a fight. They could have had a fight. They could have had an event with Canelo. This is the Mexican Independence weekend. It just came and went by. You could have had it. But you blew it. You blew it. Don't forget to hit the like button, good people. You guys who came here, all of you guys who are new here, don't forget to subscribe to the page. You know, let's get this going on. Now let's talk about it. The DAZN wants to make that fight because that's why they were doing celebrity boxing events with the guy from YouTube, the Paul Logans and all those bums who they keep giving all these sponsorship deals to and all this other stuff. Now, all of these people who think all of this boxing stuff is BS and this is that's going to happen, that's going to happen. I'm just trying to get to the point where we actually have a fight. Once a fight is made, then okay, yeah, let's talk about it. You know, I talked about the Deontay Wilder fight when I didn't have to talk about it at all. And I let all these so-called conspiracy theorists go off with the glove controversy crap. They talking about the first fight. Talk about what happened in the second fight. That's the only thing that mattered, was what happened in fight number 2 when he got the brakes beat off of him. Now, all of a sudden, it's this glove gate garbage and all that stuff. So I really wasn't interested. I said what I had to say, said what I saw, and said, okay, I'm done. That's it. I don't have time to go make videos and confuse the rest of the general public. Now, Canelo, for him, it's easy. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the real face and the real pound for pound champion until somebody knock him off the list. But besides that, it's Terrence Crawford. You know, Lomachenko's a great fighter, but I wouldn't say he's pound for pound. You know, he's good at his weight class, but you know, he go anywhere up, he can't advance up in weight no more. He'll get destroyed. You know, but it's always a top ranked fighter in that category. Is Errol pound for pound? No. Is Errol good? Yes, Errol is good, but he's not pound for pound the best fighter. You say Bud is pound for pound. I would say that. Now y'all want to talk about Gary Russell and Devin Haney, right? Great. I'll entertain it because you guys wanted to talk about it. Gary Russell Jr. is a bully. He's an a-hole. All his brothers are named Gary Russell. Named after the father. So it's like 4 brothers named Gary Russell. I kid you not. It's just like George Foreman. George all named his kids George. He didn't want one kid to feel more special than the other, so he named all of them George. All his boys. So there's about 5 Gary Russells that box. All of them box. You got another one coming up. So what happened was Gary Russell, as an amateur, this Gary Russell, he was just an a-hole. He was bullying people. He was taunting the other fighters if you were smaller than him or whatever. And in the gym, he ended up sucker punching Terrence Crawford when they was in training for the Olympics. And once he sucker punched, I think they were probably the Pan Am Games or something like that. I don't know. But he sucker punched Terrence Crawford. He didn't knock him out or nothing like that. He sucker punched him, you know, and it got his attention. And then Terrence Crawford was ready to fight him and all this stuff. But Terrence Crawford was never scared of Gary Russell. Now, Gary Russell used to bully other people. I mean, like all the smaller guys, he would bully them, take their stuff, everything. Now, he claimed it was trying to make them tougher. But these were young kids, like 17, 18, you know, like teenagers. And you're trying to like bully them. And I guess it was a tactic he liked to do, but a lot of people didn't like him. A lot of people didn't like him in the amateurs. And then when he was pro, he like changed his whole demeanor. Like he was the calm, disciplined fighter. And it was like a night and day. People were like, that dude's an a-hole. What are they talking about? Because they marketed and promoted him and Adrian Broner as a double feature. Every time they both came, like you thought they were best friends, and they really weren't. He never had really nothing to do with what Adrian did. So hold on 1 second. I guess somebody's back to paint the house. So they painting outside. So All of a sudden, Adrian Broner was the mouthpiece. Gary Russell was the silent guy. Adrian was flashy and doing this thing. Yo, it's your man AB, always balling, about billions, So while he was doing all his fly guy routine, all of these things was transpiring about him. So when they started to blow up and Gary Russell had all this momentum, everybody was saying how Gary Russell was the most complete fighter and was better than Adrian Broner and all of these different things. And one day those two are going to meet in the ring and see who's going to be the best and all this stuff. And Adrian was going up. Gary Russell would not fight. And you'd be like, well, what's going on with Gary Russell? Gary Russell and his family were managing his career. So they were turning down fights. Al Heyman would make fights for him and everything else. And he was like, nah, we don't feel that fight right now. We're going to take like 2 other fights here. Then we're going to move up, and take this fight. They were like, what's going on here? Then Gary Russell went and fought Lomachenko. And for some reason, Gary Russell was the worst I've ever seen him look in my life. And he said he had lost a lot of weight to try to be fast for the fight. And it cost him. He came out flat. And I've never seen him look like that in my life. And watching a Gary Russell fight. Lomachenko beat him 6 ways to Sunday. So after taking a beating like that in the boxing ring, he gave respect to him and everything else, but he wanted to do it again. Now, he's supposed to be fighting Leo Santa Cruz. Now, I don't know what's happening there, but those two were supposed to fight a long time ago. Gary Russell, Leo Santa Cruz. That's the fight that a lot of people wanted to see. A lot of people was interested to see how that fight was going to play out. Now, internet now is the new fighting form. All these young fighters are coming out. They're fighting on the internet. BoxingSocialist.com, by the way. You can go check it out. Page is still running, knocking stuff down. But we don't just do boxing. We do all sports now, NFL, basketball, whatever, soccer. Now, here's the situation that I saw and how I wanted it to go by. Now, Devin Haney. Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia, these are 2 fighters that I think should be focusing on trying to fight each other by fighting other young, talented fighters coming up in the game. Stop worrying about other people that's not in your bracket. If Devin Haney is going to fight Gary Russell, fight Gary Russell. That's a great fight. I sign off on it. I already put you ahead of Jamal Charlo. Or at least Jamal. Forget that. At least you trying to do something as a young man early, saying, I'm ready to take on some legends and some giants because I'm ready to get it. Ryan Garcia is supposed to be fighting a guy who, for some reason, not out of his, fault, he was supposed to be fighting Linares. And Linares, you know how good he is. He could take a punch, he could take some punishment, and he could dish it out. So Linares, to me, made more sense. But because of the COVID situation, it was quite hard to bring him to the table. What you can't believe, James Harvey. Now, Gary Russell might be a little bit ahead of his it might be a little bit out of his wheelhouse because Gary Russell is very tough. And it's going to be a very tough task for a young Devin Haney. But it's something, if he wants it and if they're serious about doing it, this will grow him up very fast. But once again, I don't like to talk about fights really until they're made unless we're doing probables, like it's seriously could be made. Other than that, a lot of guys just go in there just to get their names trending by keep throwing stuff out there and throwing their names. And that's mostly these young guys. They just call out fighters. Like everybody used to call, "What's up, Mr. Griffin?" Like everybody used to call out Floyd Mayweather all the time. Yeah, Floyd want to fight, man. I mean, I'll fight Floyd and Floyd this and Floyd. Yeah, Floyd Mayweather. If now it's Floyd, you know, it, it is what it is, right? Yeah, well, okay, you just got here, James. Yeah, we covered Canelo in the beginning of this. The thing about Canelo is the fact that he's suing the zone, but his promoter signed him to the contract. So if you sue the zone, you're gonna have to sue Golden Boy Promotions as well. Golden Boy Promotions basically is standing with Canelo and saying the same things. Like Canelo has a right to sue. It's the zone. They're the ones that's screwing this up. Gary Russell is a big guy who's basically has been keeping his weight down. Gary Russell can go to 47 easy because he's really a small 147, really. He just knows how to keep his weight low. So if you said his lawsuit was thrown out, if his lawsuit got thrown out, it must be something in the verbiage. Something in that verbiage that's going to take us to a whole nother situation about guaranteed contracts and things you're going to have to read. Like I told you, for the rest of it, I would have to see the contracts. And if Golden Boy and his team both agreed and they signed it, they the fools. If the zone get to choose what is a premium fight and what isn't, then you're in trouble because you're at the mercy of the zone. They could just say, well, we don't view this as a premier fight, so we can't guarantee you 35 million. Now, because of COVID and no fans, this is going to create a new reality that they don't all want to be in because the gate is what keeps boxing alive. Some of the gate money and all that stuff that help pays for undercards, everything else, so it's a big it's a lot of money being lost, especially on big fights. Now, house cards, they don't usually make that much money anyway. They normally make their money back, selling vendor stuff, beer and all this stuff. That's where they make their money with the concessions and all that stuff, all that coming into the event. Normally the fighters, their job is to sell the tickets. And if you don't sell enough tickets and get enough people in there, then they like, sorry for you, bro. Like you can't be on the card because you ain't out here selling tickets. So not only do you train for a fight, you got to sell tickets. And if you sell tickets, you can get on the card. You could be the main event if you're selling some tickets. No, they're not an idiot for signing Canelo to that type of money. They're an idiot for signing Triple G to that type of money. What they tried to do was buy the entire fight. They was like, you know what we should do? Let's buy boxing. Let's buy it all. Yeah, that sounds great. Just buy it all out. People are like, well, shouldn't we be doing no. Forget that. What we need to do is to buy it all out. I mean, boxing is how I got started. I wouldn't be on Facebook YouTube if it wasn't for boxing. My whole MySpace was boxing. So I at least have to do a video covering it, do a live stream so people can get all their boxing questions out. I'm like, let's get all these boxing questions on the table so everybody can, have it out in the open. And I'm gonna try to make Ropido Radio tomorrow. Teofimo Lopez, the Fortnite fighter, versus Lomachenko. I see this going about 10 rounds. And in the 10 rounds, I think Lomo's body attack and his head attack is going to be too much. Teofimo Lopez, he hasn't been in too many real fights. He's been in one fight with Kami, and Kami was headhunting and got caught. His athleticism is great, but he telegraphs a lot of his punches. A lot of traps can be set by Lomo and turning on angles and then attacking with his footwork. He's got much better footwork than Teofimo. I just see an outclassment. And then as the fights go on, as the rounds keep going, I see him more fatiguing. And I see Lomo just basically educating him. And I see him try too hard and getting caught. Who do I want to see fight Canelo? Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Smith. I wish a Charlo took the fight, but that ain't what they do. And that's a perfect segue into that. Let's talk about the Charlos, aka the Charco brothers, aka we don't want to fight anybody, but we won't say we the best in the world because that's what people do now. They say they're the best in the world, but they don't want to step up, and they definitely don't want to fight anybody. Exactly, Ulysses. Nobody likes these kids. And even though these kids came up under us, Sean did everything in his power for them, and they treated him just like they treated everybody else, like they worked for him, like you work for them. They're very disrespectful people. And they took all you guys on this whole trip yelling and trying to create media buzz because that's what they're about. The Charlos are about BS 24/7. They're about nothing. So all they do, because a lot of people want to be champions, some people want to be stars. They want to be stars more than they want to be champions. They don't want to be great fighters and go down in history. They ain't thinking about that. They're trying to sell themselves like they the Kardashians. They selling their idea, and that's the only reason why Showtime is interested in them, because they both look alike. They're identical twins. But it's always, one twin is the tough one and the other one's like, soft. And they had to keep that stigma going for a while. That's why the other one tries to talk tough and be tough, because he knows his other brother always backs him up. Then the two brothers was going at it with each other, cursing each other out on social media, trying to build controversy because they're both fighting on the same night, but not in the same place or something stupid like that. But anyway, they got some card coming up and they split the events up, but they want you to pay one price to get both of the Charlos, like $75. I swear, it's like $75. $75. 75, and you get to see the Charlos. Who the hell is paying that money? What's up, Sincerely? Glad you made it. Who would pay $75? No, not I said the spider to the fly. I like that. Now, here's another kicker, ladies and gentlemen. See, we don't get it all on the table tonight. Here's the other kicker. Get this. You're going to like this. Now, Charlo is fighting Dervinchenko, the guy that just whooped up on Triple G. Imagine what Dervinchenko is going to do to Jamal Charlo. I'm all in. Let's see what happens in that corner with these water bottles. It was Jamel last time, but we're going to see what happened with Jamal. See if they try to water bottle trick. Triple cheese? Oh, Triple Cheese, he back somewhere sulking and counting his money that he's getting from the zone. I bet you they don't tell Triple Cheese he can't get his $35 million like they told Canelo. I mean, Canelo should go on and fight Triple G right now. I mean, get rid of him, do the third fight, get your $35 million in advance, knock him out, and then move forward. But I know what he's saying. Like, man, I know y'all trying to push this so that this guy can hopefully get a win. It's not going to happen. He just got beat up by Dervinchenko. You stole the fight for him because you're trying to build the engine for this fight. It's retarded. He cannot beat Canelo. Throw a combo. Oh. Cino still got that speed. Pull counter. Too quick. Oh. 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 You out, sucker. Listen. Oh, academics don't want that smoke. Any place, anytime. I'm going to knock a pork chop out his butt. Boof! Ah! Maul, it ain't entertaining. These clowns want to be stars so bad. If they only wanted to be world champions. If they only wanted to be world champions and the best fighters in the world. If they only wanted that. But it's only so long fake fighters can pretend. Boy, Arturo Canelo would knock them out. It would be a knockout. It would have been a knockout. Let me tell you something. Canelo offered the fight to Jamal Charlo. He turned it down. You need to be drug tested. Your boy turned down the fight. More money than he's ever made in his life. Almost double. Even his own brothers told him, I would have never turned down a fight with Canelo. When he was dissing his brother, told him he'd never turn down a fight with Canelo. But Jamal did. Why? Because he didn't want to fight on the zone. They want you to fight on PBC. Pacified baby champions. That's what it is. The pacified baby champions. They want you to fight nobodies. And I'm not with that. They was like, look, just go with the program. No, if I didn't like another company doing it, Why would I want another company to come around that's supposed to be fixing this problem, come around and doing the same damn thing? Name a PBC fight where the best fought the best. When is a PBC fighter fought somebody outside of the PBC? You know the only time that happened? When they fought Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder can't fight. He's strong. He hits you. You go to sleep. He's lost more rounds than he's ever won. Guys be beating him and winning the fight and everything, and then he just punch him one time, and they go to sleep because the man is blessed with a gift. But let's not act like he's the best boxer out there. You know, let's be realistic about this. Now, Fury will beat him probably 10 times out of 10. Only thing he has is a puncher's chance against Tyson Fury. But let's talk Porter versus Spence. That's the best versus the best. When has Sean Porter been the best? Sean Porter just got beat up right before that fight. He got beat by Ugas. They robbed him, the Cuban, robbed him and took his doggone victory away from him and gave it to Sean Porter because they wanted to make Porter and Spence. Tell me, let's go through Errol Spence. Who is Errol Spence's fault? Name big fights Errol Spence has fought. Because people say he pound for pound too. I mean, really. So let's have a conversation. Kell Brook, his first fight, he won that. Kell Brook, Mikey Too Small Garcia, who came up in weight, 2 weight classes, basically to fight him. He's not a 147 guy. He's a small guy. Errol's fought at 147 his entire career, full 147. Mikey Garcia comes up there, and you couldn't even stop Mikey. Sean Porter, an alley fighter, who loses to everybody his size. He really lost to Ugas. He got in the ring, he really won that fight. He beat Errol. He didn't get his hand raised, but he beat Errol. Even with the knockdown, he beat Errol. But he even dropped Porter in that fight and didn't get counted for the knockdown. How did they make it up to him? They just gave him a world title last week. Corruption in this game, I swear to God, is something else. But I'm happy for Ugas. He finally got the belt that he deserved. Shakur Stevenson is another kid that needs to take some time to develop. You know, he still fights a little bit like an amateur. And he fights a real seasoned guy, he's going to be in trouble. He's going to get a fast education on pro game. And Porter beat Spence. But the fight was close enough that if you wanted to give it to Spence, was supposed to win impressively against Porter. This was tailor-made for Errol Spence. Errol's a flat-footed fighter. This was tailor-made for him. And he was almost knocked out in that fight. Now we don't even know what Errol's going to look like when he comes back because of the accident. Does Danny have a chance against Spence? Here's the thing. I love Danny Garcia. He's a solid fighter. In the amateurs, he always knew how to win rounds. He's a good counter puncher. He's not a 147-pound fighter. He's good at 140. These guys are too big that he's fighting, like Keith Thurman, Errol. These guys are way too big. Errol and Keith Thurman are really 154 fighters, and they're sweating down to be at 147. Danny is about walk around weight round, like he fights at 140. That's where his skill set could turn up the best. Him fighting, if he fought other guys who were small 147s, then yeah, it'd be good. But these are bigger guys that he's fighting at this weight class. So they know that. So they know Danny's going to have no real shot of knocking out Errol. But he can catch him with a counter punch. It's boxing. Anything can happen. But, you know, all of these things that are transpiring, the arrogance that comes along with some of these fighters, it's like if they get the LeBron James disease, they believe their own BS. They believe it. Seriously, they believe their own BS. They believe, well, this is what's best for me. This is what's good for me. This is what's great for me. I need more of this. It's always about what's best for them, right? They believe the headlines. They believe everybody talking about how good they are, how devastating. They go on YouTube, see all these YouTube guys who just love them because they want them to do an interview with them on their page. He's incredible, man. He can't be stopped. His punching power is incredible. It's ridiculous, man. It's truly ridiculous. Any more fights you guys are interested in? Well, Floyd is fighting again in an amateur fight, not amateur, but exhibition fight this December. So it's either going to be New Year's night or New Year's Eve around that time. Floyd is fighting exhibition fight. Who's he fighting? I don't know. But I guess it'll be somebody that they're going to spend a lot of millions of dollars to get Floyd to do. Me versus LeBron? Oh, that'll be sign. Where do I sign? I get to put these on LeBron? Ooh, boy, we talk about having some fun. We are going to have some super fun tonight. Bud versus Kell Brook is an epic match. I don't know how Kale's gonna do at 147 still because he's been fighting at 54. That's why he lost the Arrow because he couldn't even make the weight anymore. And they were told to like just vacate the title and go to 154. But he chose as a champion to fight. Plus, Al Heyman said, "Look, give it to you in your hometown. You get to fight in your own hometown, your own backyard, and defend the title." And he had to make 147, and he killed himself. That's why when the fight started, Arrow went straight to his body. But then he rocked Arrow so many times in that fight, man. I saw Arrow eyes go like. And Arrow to tell you to this day, if you ask Arrow like who hit you the hardest, he gonna say Kell Brook. Yeah, I say Kell. Kell got a punch. I say Kell Brook. I mean, Bud just what makes Bud like Bud Crawford? Bud ain't going to the cards with these dudes at 147. He's stopping them. So everybody talking about, oh, this dude ain't that good. He would have beat him. He's stopping them. Nobody else is stopping these guys. He's stopping them. Now, when I see everybody else stopping the same people Bud is stopping, then I'll be like, okay, well, then maybe it ain't something there. Bud is stopping him. I saw Bud beat Amir Khan in a fashion. Amir Khan, I don't think fought since. Or he had one fight after that, but Amir Khan ain't been the same. He had never been outboxed in a fight that early on in a fight. Never happened. He could not believe that, he's normally the fastest guy in the ring. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna get the advantage and win some rounds, and then he's just hoping he don't tire out. And Khan normally loses it when he gets touched in the ring. Like somebody touch him on the head and he just go to sleep. But normally he'll be winning rounds. Terrence Crawford outboxed him. And he couldn't believe that. He was like, man, this guy is like outboxing me. Never before have he seen that. Somebody really outbox him in the ring. Bip, bip, bip. I know. Victor Postal, who just got robbed on a decision, because Victor Postal won the last fight. He got robbed. Another one, Andre. That's what he calls himself. Andre versus Billy Joe Saunders. Now, if they can get that fight to go, that's a fight that can go either way. Demetrius Andre can make a mistake and get caught and get dropped. But it depends on where his focus is, because he's so used to calling out people and I want Canelo, I want this fight, I want that fight. It's like, dude, you calling these guys out. You the one messed up the whole thing. He didn't want to fight Charlo under the conditions that they had set it up because it was an Al Heyman thing. And I'm like, you should have just took the fight. They ended up signing with Rock Nation and got with Canelo, and Rock Nation didn't know what the hell they were doing. They just slowed down his career. So he lost about a year dealing with that. Yeah, Mean Machine. Now you put Mean Machine in there with Arrow. Do Arrow stop Mean Machine? Nope, they're going to the cards. Arrow might win, but they're going to go to the cards. After watching the fight with Mikey Garcia, it showed people a lot about Arrow. Like, whoa, wait a minute. This guy, he don't know how to finish. He can't finish Mikey Garcia? Oh, this dude don't know how to finish. He don't. He still fights. He still got some amateur flaws in him. He switches from southpaw because he's out of position, so he'll just fight in a southpaw stance to keep a guy back till he turns to the other side. It's a mess. That's why they want to keep all these fighters in house. The PBC stands for the Pacified Boxing Champions. Nobody's fighting nobodies. Who is Jamel Charlo fighting now? I don't even know who the hell this guy they done dug up. They done snuck over the border just for the fight. He wouldn't have not beat, man, Benavidez would have won 12 rounds with him. Are you kidding? Bud ain't fought nobody at 147. He fought the champion at 147. Meanwhile, who has Errol Spence fought at 147 his entire career? He fought Kell Brook, Sean Porter, who's a walking punching bag, and Ugas beat him better than Errol did. Because Errol really lost that fight. Who else he fought? And Mikey Garcia, who's not 147. Are you kidding me? You gonna compare him to Terrence Crawford, the man who unified the whole 140 division? Unified it, won all 4 belts before he left. Mikey Garcia got scared and dropped the belts and ran. They was like, "You gonna fight Errol?" Ah, no mas. He wanted no parts of Terrence Crawford. Dropped them belts and left. Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson. You real funny, man. Oh, you real funny, man. Peterson at 140, yeah, at 147. Come on, he was a tough fighter, but the kid didn't jab. Billy Hunter they ruined them kids, man. The other one, his brother was just as weak. You know, it's just Lamont had a bunch of heart, man. It's like he's like Rocky. You know, he comes in and invites you to hit him in the face. He don't jab enough. And then he wants to get into a knockout drag out with you. You can't beat Errol like that. Plus, at that point, he was done. He was done. As a matter of fact, I don't think he fought since, did he? Or didn't I think he fought probably like 2 more times, and people were like, dude, you gotta stop fighting. So he finally retired. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna retire till somebody knocked him out. I forgot who. Of course, he got hard. A lot of fight. Anybody get in that ring basically got hard, except for the Charlos. Yeah, well, who paying $75 to see the Charlos? That'll be a fight I'll miss. Trust me, I ain't paying 75 cents to see the Charlos. You want to see me fight Boxing Ego? Boxing Ego, man, that dude used to be really cool, man. I don't know what happened to him. Like, he used to post on Boxing Socialist when we had the website. The dude used to steal all my articles and make videos off of them. I mean, as soon as we write the article and post it, next thing you know, here comes his video on it. But he was like a fan of everything we did, man. And then he just, I don't know, he changed. And he just got a little ego tripping. He got ego. Boxing ego. So, you know, it's a crazy game, man. But I don't care what he's doing. Most success to him. Hope he's doing well. The boxing community. The boxing community can be against Bud all they want. Is Errol gonna fight him? Did you hear they not even talking about fighting him? And this is the problem I have with y'all. Y'all, the boxing community, y'all should be holding their feet to the fire. Stop supporting this pacified boxing champions if they not standing up to make the fights to be champions, to fight the best. Ain't no way Bud Crawford should be sitting out there and all them PBC fighters scared to fight him. Talking about some, oh, they didn't want to fight. Keith Thurman, and they ain't want to fight me. Keith, one fight, Thurman? First off, you don't deserve no fight. You lost one. You come back for one fight out of 5 years, get all fat, eating doggone potato chips and everything else. You do one fight, then you come back in the ring, try to get a paycheck, and we ain't going to see you till you go back broke. Now you're going to be back broke and gamble away all the money, and then it's going to be, here come one fight, Thurman. Yo, one fight, baby. I'm back. I'm still one of the best in the world. Nobody can beat me. I'm the best champion ever. I'll be like, sit your butt down somewhere. I'm like, man, nobody believe the hype no more. That stuff then wore out. You ain't trying to fight nobody. Talking about he need about $50 million to fight Bud Crawford. It's like, are you crazy? Dog, calling somebody out and actually trying to make a fight are two different things. Stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Everybody's calling them out. I can call somebody out. Does that mean that they running from the fight from me? Are we trying to make the fight happen? What does that mean? He called him out. When you talking to the promoter, that's calling somebody out. Yeah, Bud would beat Thurman. Probably stop him. You thought Manny Pacquiao hurt him to the body. What you think Bud gonna do? Hurt that boy right in the body. He can't take a body shot. Jamal is fighting Derevyanchenko. And I want Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko's going to end up beating his brains out again and getting robbed. Because it's PBC. They want to keep these twins winning. What's up, Mr. Bailey? Yeah, I mean, in the middle of the round, he got hit in the body. You think he called a timeout? He took the mouthpiece out like, If Manny was vicious, when he took that mouthpiece out, Manny should have flooded him. Like, okay, I did not want to hurt him so bad. I think I hurt him a little to the body. That's I try to do. I pray for him and his family. Oh man. Boxing videos. Shouts out to D Style. Shouts out to the Roper Dope Boxing Radio Show on Blog Talk Radio. They still getting it in. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, they just did an interview with R.A. the Rugged Man. R.A. the Rugged Man did an interview with D Style. You got to check that out. You go to D Style Boxing, check that interview out. Gary Russell versus Devin Haney. I'll believe it when they walking in the ring. I don't believe. That's why I don't even like to give that fight air. But if it happens, I'm cool with that because here's a veteran who Gary Russell who slept his whole career away because he was so picky on fights. His daddy, everybody managing him, they screwing up his career. He came out the same time as Adrian Broner. They was putting him on the undercards. He was turning down fights left and right. Everybody thought he was injured. Then he did get injured. Then he didn't fight, and it was like everybody was just so done with him. Then he lost to when he lost to doggone when they did make a PBC fight a real one, Lomachenko. He went against PBC wishes. PBC didn't want him to have that fight. Al Heyman didn't want him to fight Lomachenko, a top-ranked fighter. And what happened when you put him in the ring with him? He got blitzed. Blitzed. It depends on which tank show up. Devin Haney can beat him. Depends on which tank shows up. Now, if Tank's in shape and he's on point, Devin's going to have a real hard problem on his hands. But Devin's got size. He's got reach. He's a big boy. He ain't one of them small guys that Tank been knocking out. Tank hit like a middleweight. And he probably is a middleweight. He just sweats all the way down so that he could start, fighting again. But other than that, he's a middleweight, man. I mean, he wasn't ready for the Gamboa fight. He didn't make weight. So he losing the belt on the scales because he couldn't make weight. It's always, Tank problem has always been the scale, and I know how hard it is for fighters. It's really hard. It takes a certain discipline. And that's why Floyd is where he is right now, because he's the most disciplined fighter probably in the history of sports. I've never seen an athlete as disciplined as him. Michael Jordan was not as disciplined as Floyd. This is a man that never had a drink in his life. Never smoked anything in his life. Never took a drug. This dude, he didn't want to take surgery for a shoulder injury. He just went through the whole rehab. Did not want to go through surgery to get it fixed faster. Didn't want to do it. The man trains like every day. He do some type of exercise. It's not boxing training, but he's going to do some road work. He'll get up, run 6 miles. That was the discipline. And he had that since a little kid. It was instilled in him. The man got OCD. He got to have stuff in order. It's got to be laid out, but he's going to be ready to go. Oh yeah, caffeine and sugar. That's Floyd's fix. Yeah. Bow. Yeah, he'll eat some candy, he'll drink a soda and do all these things. See, the thing is, Floyd you can take and eat all these different things. You can eat junk food, you can eat some candy, you can do all of these things when you exercise. If people who eat all these things that's bad for them and don't do anything to burn it off, yeah, it's gonna be negative against you. It's not gonna probably go good in your favor if you're putting all these toxins and things into your body. So yeah, I would definitely not look forward to that? I don't know who Jamel fighting, but if they think people are gonna pay $75 to watch the Charlo twin. $75. $75 to see Jamal Charlo and Jamel Charlo. The Charco brothers? That what we talking about? The Charco brothers? This is crazy. Am I cut off? Am I cut off? Or y'all, am I still here? Am I still here? Can y'all see me? Because it's showing me the picture right here. Okay. Yeah, it was. It did look like something went through and they did some type of tampering. I could tell because I'm looking right at it. Now, let's get back. Who gonna spend $75 to see the Charcoal Brothers? Are y'all ready to spend $75 to watch them bums? Dream Chaser, CJ, are you on crack? now, now, it's okay. You can admit it. It's a lot of people that do crack. They're functional crackheads. I'm assuming you're a functional crackhead. I said the Charlo brothers, the two Charco twins. You know, they only selling you because one looked like the other one. That's what they selling you on. I don't even know the guy Jermell is fighting. Matter of fact, I don't even seen Jermell fight anybody except for my man from the D. Other than that, in the first fight he lost, the second fight he was losing even worse. Dream Chaser CJ, you could spend that money any other way. You could put that $75 down, go buy some stocks for some cheap stocks for $75, and you'll get more value than watching the doggone Charcoal Brothers. I don't think anybody should watch that fight. They should have no one watching it. You gonna show support? See, here's the thing. If they were some real dudes, I would say support them. I'll be throwing my support around them. But when they some fake, phony people like that, I don't throw no support around there. They ain't hating. Because once they did it, everybody else started to see it. Over the years, everybody just like, yeah, you're right. They some whiny little broads. I'm like, now you see what I'm talking about. See what I'm talking about? When Cino don't like you, he don't like you, and you know it. Ain't gonna be no mixed feelings. Cino don't like you, you gonna know Cino don't like you. Ain't gonna be no misunderstandings or maybe Maybe, I don't know. He acted a little weird. No, he don't like you. I don't like them. They know I don't like them. They disrespected Blue Blood. I didn't see that at all. We love the South. People from the Midwest is from down South. They don't hate the South. This ain't got nothing to do with the South. We got, that there's some punk people in the South, just like there's some punk people in the Midwest, just like there's some punks on the East Coast, punks on the West Coast, and the Charlos, two punks. That's just it. It ain't got nothing to do with no South or Midwest. Those two are punks. Bunch of whiny broads. I've been hating on you. How am I hating on you, CJ? Ain't no punks on the East Coast. Next question. How do I figure they fake? Let's just say I know firsthand they fake. Everybody on here know the history of me and the Charlos. And if you don't, it's a very easy thing to look up. There you go, M Stack 85. Lose my number. I'm like, dude, lose your number. I just got your number so I can talk to you this one time. I don't ever want to talk or interview you or nothing. You're nothing. You're nobody. And that was in 2012. That's 8 years ago. That was like 2012. I swear to God, it was like 2012 when all that happened. Here it is 8 years later, and they still nobody. 8 years later, and you're still a nobody. Ja was never a punk. No, I wouldn't say that, Kel. Ja Rule was never a punk. The South got the best boxers right now. It's kind of hard to say who's the best right now. A lot of people got a lot of proving to do. It's a lot of young fighters out there, but they gotta, they gotta prove it. Everybody talking on the gram and doing all that stuff. I'm right. I'm like, I'm from the show me state. Should have been. Yeah, well, would I say boxing is in a bad place right now? Yes, it is. And the reason why it's in a bad place is because you got fighters fighters are some of the most ungrateful people on the face of this planet. And you get them and they act like you work for them. And it's like, dog, I don't work for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't work for you. I don't have nothing to do with you. Period. You know what I'm saying? So the zone don't want to pay 35 million because they realize they overpaid for Canelo, Triple G, because they didn't know any price values. They just had a big budget and they just start spending money trying to buy up all the fighters. So all these fighters who talking about some, I ain't gonna fight for the zone. You could have fought one fight for the zone, won the championship, and went back to Al Heyman. You could have went and got that money and went back. People just was being stupid. At the end of the day, they'll see. Charcoal Brothers, they ain't fought nobody in 8 years. 8 years. Who has Jamal Charlo fought and beat? He beat 2 fighters in 8 years. He beat Eric Lubin, who just was turned pro, who barely knew how to fight. He just turned pro. He clipped him and beat him. Then he beat J-Rock. That was the only fight I gave him credit for was J-Rock. Nah. PBC is a joke and a half. I wouldn't deal with PBC at all. Unless I'm trying to get a fight with one of their fighters and you can't win because you can knock them out 3 times. You can knock them down. The ref might not even call it a knockdown. Welcome to the PBC. Jamel never fought J-Rock. Jamal did. That led to the whole incident between me and the Charlos not liking each other. This was going on behind the scenes. And that's why I told you that led to the whole disagreement with us in the first place. J-Rock had made a statement that they didn't like, and it was off the record, so the quote was in there, but we kept his name out of it because it was off the record. So they was, who said that? Y'all supposed to be down with the Charlos. Like, down with the Charlos, dude. I don't work for you. I don't get no payment from you. We don't make. Then they talk to Sean like that. They didn't talk to me like that because they know they met Sean. Sean is very nice. Y'all heard Sean. Sean's a religious man. He always talking about the Bible, and he's a pastor. He don't use profanity at all. And they talk to him all tough and everything else. They knew they couldn't say that with me. They knew they could not talk that way with me. You ain't gonna be able to do that. And if I was in his face, some punches would have been thrown right then and there. It would have been a street fight. You ain't gonna talk like that to me. That's why they was like Jamal. No, I already told him. No, that's okay. I took care of it. I'm like, no. I'm the dude that I wrote it. So you talking to me now? Talking to me? You got a problem? What you don't like? No, I already told the other guy. I already told him what the problem is. No, we good. I already told him. No. You got a problem because he told me what you said. I'm the one that wrote it. Now you're talking to me. You got to deal with me. So yeah, he ain't gonna be able to talk like that to me. He couldn't talk like that to me. Couldn't talk that way with me. When somebody check their aggression, they chill out. Jamel is phony as hell because he called me. He was the only one cool. Once he heard what went down, he's like, oh, yeah, man, nah. Man, that's why he didn't like J-Rock because of that. Man, I would never defend my title against him because he don't deserve it. Just for that, because they're real sensitive. If you tell people that Jamel is soft and Jamal is the tough one and Jamel is the soft one, oh, they blow up off that, and then Jamal get all mad. Man, I got to defend my brother because this has been going on for their whole life. It's been like that. Jamel will get beat up, then he'll go get Jamal. Jamal's only like 5 minutes older than him, but he run to Jamal, big brother. Big brother, big brother. Y'all, he's 5 minutes older than you, dummy. He used to get beat up in school and run to Jamal, and Jamal had got to take up for him. Oh, yeah, I talked very aggressive. Then he was like, lose my number, man. Just lose my number. I'm like, lose your number? That's easy. I just got your number just so I can call you. You see how Harrison was roasting him? Roasting Jamel. Jamel soft. He ain't built like that. Everybody know that. Every time he got to go run the mall. Mall, man, it just happened. And this is why my whole issue was with Jamal. Because Jamal was the one who had all that mouth and was talking all this nonsense and all this stuff. So I wanted to talk to him. I'm like, give me his number. I'm calling him. I want to talk to him. Because if he talk like that to you, give me the number. I want to talk to him. So he can know you ain't finna, nothing's going down. If I have to take a plane to Houston, none of what you talking about is finna happen. Because now I'm mad. And when I'm mad, I'm crazy. So I was there with it. I'm like, I'm with all of this that you talking. I just want to get on a plane. Just let me know what it is right now. I will be on a plane in front of your face, and you going to have to say this to me. And he ain't want no part of that. He want nothing. He was, I was very, very, very upset. I don't take threats too well. So I'm gonna know what it is right here on this phone before we proceed full speed ahead. We don't take threats too well. Oh man, Charco sit over there. Man, I'm not, dude. You talking about a boxing match? I'm not trying to box the Charlos. If we get in a fight, that was gonna be a street fight, and they would lose that very badly. Because I would take a plug out somebody's arm, leg, or face and bite an eyeball out like I'm Freddie Roach. Y'all didn't know Freddie Roach bit somebody's eye out? Fight to the death. Man, Jacobs didn't duck Jamal. Jamal was so scared they wasn't finna make that fight. Harrison got caught. Then you got water bottle Charlo. He come in. I interviewed. If you go on my page, you see the interview. I interviewed the commissioner. And he didn't know what the hell was going on. He didn't know why they had two bottles in the corner. They switching bottles in the corner. What's in the doggo squeeze bottle? That's what I want to know. He passed his piss test. Oh, yeah. You think PBC was going to let him fail? So, okay, let's do the third fight with Harrison. Let's break the tie. It's 1-1 now. Okay, y'all got one. We got one. Let's break the tie. Because Harrison was beating his ass every round. He wasn't winning that fight, period. And then on the cards, they had Jamal Charlo winning the fight. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you about the PBC? It's corrupt, and it's worse than any organization I probably ever have seen in my life. The pacified boxing champions. There's no real fights taking place, period. Who are the stars of this program? Errol Spence. What real fights have he been in? None. Right. I interviewed the commission. Like, dog, what is you talking about? This dude don't even know what the hell. He been programmed to say Charlo. All I know is Mr. Charlo didn't do anything illegal. Of course. You can't say he did Because then that means you implementing your own people. But I wanted him to say it for the record. Because I'm like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me you made a change in someone else's corner and you didn't even have to inform the other corner of a change that you allowed? So they don't even know about it. How is that fair? You're the California State Athletic Commission. What the hell going on here? That's what his mouth was saying, because he wasn't saying it right. He was like, other fighters, they use the water bottle. It's not that they use the water bottle. If somebody used a water bottle and they came in and they used that for the rest of the fight, that's not the problem. You had regular bottled water that you were using for 4 rounds. Then, mysteriously, from round 4 through 8, you decide to use a squeeze bottle, and the trainer wasn't giving it to you. Your uncle was. Your uncle. That was his uncle that was squeezing that bottle in his mouth, because the trainer didn't want no accountability of what was in that bottle. Derrick James was not touching that bottle. Now, why is that? Why you need 2 guys to give you special water if it's just water? Trust me. Watch the fight again and you see Charlo get his energy back. You know what they did? They gave him water for the first 4 rounds. Then they gave him that, whatever that bottle that was mixed. And then they cut that off after like round 8. And then they go back to the regular water so they could wash it all away by the time it's time for the test. So it could just disappear with water. It's bull it is what it was. And they robbed Tony. And he knew it. He the one that discovered it. Man, y'all got me hot over here talking about this boxing. Man, I'm serious. Y'all got me real bad up here just thinking about it. Charco brothers. So you know I'm going for Dervinchenko. But Dervinchenko, he gonna lose on decision. Just like he did Triple G. Whooped Triple G for the whole fight. Triple G's got whooped. And what happened? Thanks, John. I appreciate it, man. I'm just real hot right now. Real hot. Yeah, I'm out.